What is up, everybody? What is going on? It is your favorite person in the world, JR Wisdom. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. I know it's the middle of well, might as well say it's a little bit after the middle of the day, but I figured I'd switch it up and go ahead and react to this polarizing figure individual. You either love her or you hate her, as you guys can see on the thumbnail. But it's not really my forte into politics, but I just do like to watch some of her debates, as some of you may as well. Some of you may like her. Like I said, some of you may, hate her, but you can't turn your eyes away from watching what it is that she has to say, regardless of whether you're liberal or you're conservative, whatever your political affiliation or ideology is in terms of this. So I'm personally going to play, like, I guess she just put out a video about some of her epic rants that she's going on, if you want to call it that. But I just want to check it out. I haven't even watched it. I just figured this was a good time. It's a Friday. It's East Coast time. It's a 1:15. So we about to get into it. So if guys don't know who I am, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. It's JR Wisdom. Hit that like button one time. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's easy like Sunday morning. That's all you got to do, man. Not asking for anything else. Just spam that like button. Helps to push the video out as well. Also, like I said, I got the lines open if you guys want to, offer your feedback and things like that. You're more than welcome to. So hit that link. It's pinned in the chat. You guys know, if you guys have been in any of mine before, you know how we do. So with that being said, man, I'm not going to hold you guys anymore. So let's get right into it. And then again, I didn't even introduce Candace Owens, even though she's not officially on here. I'm just watching the video. If you don't know who Candace Owens is, she's a conservative. She's a black woman, first of all. She's a conservative pundit, political analyst, influencer. She's an author. She's a member of the Blexit organization or foundation, if you will. She also has a talk show on the Daily Wire, and I believe PragerU, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys can definitely check that out if you haven't watched any of her debates and things like that, where she actually talks with different people. But it is a breath of fresh air. Sometimes I don't agree with everything she says, but we're just going to jump into it, man. So just want to give you guys, if you guys didn't know who Candace Owens was. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. See what we're cooking with here. So, yeah. Let's go ahead, Candace.
Don't worry. I'm going to keep this quick. But Black America, you owe me an apology. And I want my apology. Okay? Because, that was a long couple of years. If you guys calling me a race traitor because I refused to be an idiot, and I was obviously recognizing the scam that was Black Lives Matter, I was obviously able to discern that they were using the faces of dead Black people to get you guys to run around, act like fools, get your sons and daughters arrested in protests, wearing signs, painting streets, BLM, BLM, not realizing this is free marketing. This is how marketing works in business. Everybody ran around to be a billboard for Black Lives Matter. They got white people, you owe me an apology too, white liberals running around with their guilt, opening their wallets, bending down to Black Lives Matter. And nobody asked the question about where all the money was going. If you guys did not recognize that it was a corporate scam, how do you think they got the NBA on board so quickly, the NFL on board so quickly? How do you think they managed to transform America so quickly, with politicians demanding that there was Black Lives Matter squares and Black Lives Matter signs? I mean, you were looking at a business that was being built very quickly around a suspicious time, election time, when the riots seemed to keep happening. Black Lives Matter. They were telling you COVID didn't matter. Protesting was more important. Anybody with common sense knew that this was a money laundering operation. Anybody with common sense knew that Black Lives Matter was raising money for something other than Black people. You're looking around, there was no headquarters. There was no intent to say they were going to build a school, that they were going to give out scholarships to Black people. There was nothing that was done other than demanding your allegiance, And some of you guys, a lot of you guys got on board and got angry at Candace Owens and other people too, who were telling you that this was a scam. You called me so many racist names and said that I betrayed my race, when in reality, you were betraying your intelligence.
One thing I can say about Candace, so she said a few things, and a lot of the names. Anytime you speak out, obviously BLM was an organization, you know, that has had a lot of controversy surrounding it in terms of what they were and weren't doing for the community. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I consider myself more of a coincidence theorist, as I said last night. And it's just too many coincidences that go on with some things. And yeah, it's cool. It's people. Corporate is capitalizing off it with merchandise and all these other things, and everybody's jumping on board. All these billionaire corporations at the end of the day are doing these things, and it's just like, at the end of the day, we're marching around cities, we're throwing hands up, Black Lives Matter at the end of the day. But at the end of I think Malcolm X, and I'm saying a lot of key words here on YouTube, so it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm live. Malcolm X said something a long time ago that, you're only allowed to do the marches and protests and things like that. If it really would cause change, it would never be allowed. So that's the first thing you have to think about. That's never really done anything. It really has to be action and things like that. So you got mansions, as some people would say, well, they're running these ladies are running this organization. They deserve to live in a mansion and use the money for however they see fit, instead of pouring it back into the community. But some people will say, well, the black dollar only lasts in the community less than 24 hours. But still, putting it back into the community would be better than just buying a mansion and things like that. But yeah, Candace, in her defense, when she speaks out, just like anyone who speaks out about the ills and the negative things and just the disenfranchised and stuff that actually goes on, and who actually plays a part in this, she gets called all these names. And I understand she's married to a white man. You know what I'm saying? Which some people feel that you can't be pro-black if you're married to someone of another race. But she does speak on these things, which is hard to argue. And when people don't have an argument, obviously they're going to resort to name calling. We all know this. We all know this, guys. It just happens. If you can't win an argument or debate properly or counter someone's point, you're going to resort to name calling, because that's just what some people, I wouldn't necessarily say unintelligent people, but that's just what people do. They will resort to name calling. And then when things do happen that this said person has said, you're just being dismissive at this point. So I will give Candace that with that, with what she said in terms of that. But guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. I also forgot to say, make sure you shout out in the chat where you're from, age, sex, gender, whatever have you. Who cares? Go ahead and put it down. I'd like to know where you guys are checking in from. So with that being said, let's get back to this video here.
You were too emotional to see what was obvious and right in front of you. So now the narrative's cracking. Patrice Cullors got $3 million in homes separately. These other three people, they bought as just now a $6 million house. That's $9 million. There was some house that was announced in Canada that she bought for her girlfriend. Okay, that's totaling around, let's call that $12 million. Here's the best part. You're not done finding out. This is not.
Well, the interview's over. We want to know what is a woman. Please turn off the cameras.
Nothing. Okay. Black Lives Matter announced that they raised over $90 million. Okay. They were funded, they were bussed. All of this stuff was paid for by white Democratic operatives, right? Where's the rest of the money? They're getting you focused to look at the 3 Black people, but those people were at the bottom of the organization, okay? These people were just dogs that were willing to betray their race, were willing to let Black people get arrested, were willing to allow, Black Americans to riot in the streets for these young kids to get records. They didn't care, right? Those were just your average day hustlers, these 3 women, right? These 3 Black women were just your regular day of scam artists, right? Like, that's just the stuff that you see. How do you guys recognize scam artists? They're at the bottom. Who's at the top? That's the question you should be asking yourself. It's not going to be a Black person. It's going to be white people, right? Because it's only white people. It could only be a white person that is sitting at the top when you looked at who was pouring cash initially into Black Lives Matter, right? I kept telling you it was using Black faces as a front, and they were raising a bunch of money. It's going to be a white person, right? They said they raised over $90 million. So far, we've accounted.
And that's funny for Candace to say that. For those who call her a sellout, she said it's going to be a white person. You hear her say that, regardless of what you think about her. She said it's going to be at the the guy behind the scenes, the wizard, the Wizard of Oz, hiding behind the curtain. It's going to be a white guy, and I'm not making this about color or whatever, but that's basically what a lot of these conversations are fueled by, and that's just what she said in general. So, let's get back to it though.
About 10, 11, maybe $12 million that has been scammed from you guys. Where's the rest of the money? Okay. Ask yourself that question. Maybe it's time to look into all of the charities that said that they were backing Black Lives Matter when they were lying, saying that they were 501c3. They were never a charity. Black Lives Matter Global Network was never a charity. But you had, what was it called? Thousand Currents, which had some old school Clinton operatives that were running it. And I was telling you guys that this was a scam and that it was political and that nobody that was sitting on a stage screaming about Black lives cared about Black lives whatsoever. Now, you attacked me. I want my apology. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say here is you owe me an apology. And I'm going to get it. And by the way, I'm going to forgive you because I'm a good person, right? I'm a good person. You guys, oh, Candace, I don't like the way you say it. Even if you're saying the truth, I don't like the way you say it. Well, do you like the way you got scammed? Did you like the way you got scammed? Was that better to hear the lie that made you feel better? Did you like the scam?
You guys go ahead and apologize to Candace. You guys go ahead and apologize to Candace. I think folks need to stop jumping in and throwing full support just based upon a word or a slogan and things like that. Even down to the as recently as the Juneteenth ice cream. With the funding and in Walmart, was it Great Value or whoever was doing the Juneteenth ice cream, and you see who had the patent for it at the end of the day. But you throw things behind it, it's just like, yeah, all you got to do is use keywords, because I think the powers that be know when you use keywords or certain trigger words to get minorities on board when it's, really who's capitalizing off of that at the end of the day, other than to make you feel good. And I think within our within the culture of people of color, it's about the feel good instead of the tangibles. You feel me? So just my opinion. I could be off. I could be wrong as, sin, for lack of a better term, but just my thoughts. Let's get back to it though.
You got hustled. Admit it. You didn't know what you were talking about. You didn't understand the game of politics, and you got hustled. All of you. Maybe it's time now to check all of those celebrities. Those, oh, I'm with Black people celebrities. Oh, I'm with them. Oh, so I'm going to tell them that I support Black Lives Matter. Maybe it's time to go to them and ask them why they refused to air the truth, because they knew, okay? These people were in my DMs. All your favorite rappers, basketball players were in my DMs saying, yeah, we know that something's weird here, but if I say anything, I'll get attacked. All of this crap. They didn't have the nerve to tell you what they knew was painfully true. Maybe it's time to check your idols now, right? All of those hip hop artists and rappers and the people that you listen to who told you to follow this scam to the end. Maybe it's time to check yourself and realize that you're following a bunch of people who lie to you all the time. Your life is not getting any better because you're following lies. Maybe it's time to stop attacking Black conservatives who have been trying to inform you on this. There might be something that we know. I wrote a whole chapter on the scam that is Black Lives Matter in my book. but I'm a race trader, right? I'm a race trader. Okay, well, this race trader wants her apology. So drop it in the comments. I'm going to forgive you. I'm a good person. I'm a Christian woman. I'm going to forgive you, but I want my apology. Thank you, Black America. Okay, so this is insane. In real time.
I know you guys are like, JR, I'm tired of the commercials. I'm watching it live. So what? You know what I'm saying? Stick through the 2 seconds of commercials. It is what it is. What's a race trader at the end of the day anyway, man? Like, just for, if you give your thoughts and opinions, it's something that's really, I think, in terms of Black people, we're like the only people who really say race trader in terms of things like that. I don't think anyone else says that, which I can see how you would think that coming from from a certain lens of looking at things. But when you actually, talk about something and people, you don't look at it with the open mind, and you're like, this is out to help us. This is out to help us, even though there's no real tangibles. You know what I'm saying? That's when it's just cool. I think it's a herd mentality with just people in general, no matter what group, demographic, whatever. There tends to be a herd mentality, and I'm the biggest anti-herd mentality person that there is. I think, or one of them at least. And I think we need to consider certain things and approach things with an individualistic mind or open mind, as opposed to just going along with what your best friend, your mom, your dad, whoever, with these dogmatic views. So just my thoughts. Who am I though? Say less. Let's get back to it though.
I'm right now. I am watching Patrice Cullors do a live claiming that I went to her property and demanded to speak to her. And I only way I can describe it is she sounds like she's really scared. We're working on a documentary talking about all of the funding pertaining to Black Lives Matter. Obviously, we know that Patrice and a lot of the founders purchased $1 million homes in white neighborhoods. They also purchased a Black Lives Matter property. So we went to the property and asked if there was anyone that we could speak to, very politely, by the way. We've got cameras in tow, so there's no way she can. It's all on camera, and we just said, "Is there anyone we can speak to?" Nobody asked us to leave. The person went inside. It was just a white man that we saw outside that was providing security, which is super interesting because obviously Patrice here is anti-police, and so she's, oh my God, I think she's crying on this live, pretending that she was harassed. Like I said, very politely to the guy, is there anyone we can speak to? My name's Candace Owens. We never went over the gate. It was just me ringing a doorbell, trying to speak to someone. He said absolutely nothing. He started just recording us. And we said, okay, if there's no one we can speak to, we're going to leave. Patrice is pretending to be scared because she knows that this Black Lives Matter lie is falling apart. And she doesn't know what to do. I mean, people are aware of the scam that is Black Lives Matter. She's intentionally limited the comments, so you can't even comment on this post, because I was going to comment and be like, this is a complete lie, and we have it all on camera in terms of what happened. So what you are seeing right now is the face of a woman who is pretending she's afraid of right-wing pundits, when in reality, she's being exposed as a fraud who took millions, used the faces of Black people, took millions of dollars to fund herself, to fund her lifestyle, to fund her girlfriend, and to buy $1 million mansions in neighborhoods where no Black people live. So Patrice, this footage this story that we're covering is a significant one. I have always been interested in the fraud that is Black Lives Matter, your fake tears, your crocodile tears about someone politely ringing your gate and speaking to your white security guard and asking if there was anyone that I could talk to because I was covering the story. Not really going to cut it, Patrice. This is only going to commit me further to discuss.
Man, isn't that funny though? How Candace is going off right there, saying she bought a crib for her girlfriend. She has a white security guard. Moved into an all white neighborhood. Now people argue and say, well, this is a safe neighborhood, but it just so happens to be all white. Black Lives Matter, and everyone around you is white. I think it's very interesting, even disturbing to get on camera crying and lying about something, being very disingenuous because you know the lie is more digestible and more palatable to certain people, regardless of what's going on. I think, I don't think that that's race specific either. It's just people who are gullible would rather, they have such a. This goes for anybody. It's not just black. This goes for white, Asian, whoever. You'll tune in to something and basically have a prejudice towards certain things and be like, I have to believe everything that they're saying because this can't be true. This can't be right, and we have to stop that. The support, and when it comes to politics, keeping certain people in office longer than they should just because you have dogmatic views, you were raised in a certain household, and you think that this is the best person because it's always been that person, i.e. Clyburn, who's in my district down here in South Carolina. Just because it's just the way it is, so we're just gonna keep the person in office. Because it's just, hey, why switch it up? Why have change? And I think people just put themselves in this position a lot. You know what I mean? But anyway, just my thoughts. Let's get back to it. Hit that like button while you're at it. Hit that subscribe button if this is your first time tuning in. I know this is a little bit different for JR Wisdom. For those of you who are also just now tuning in, make sure you shout out where you're checking in from, age, whatever. This isn't a dating. I saw somebody leaving the comment saying, you're putting your information like you're dating. No, I ask people their age, where their demographic information, where they're checking in from, things like that. So, y'all chill out with all that dating stuff. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Discovering the truth about what you have done with this funding. Black people died. You used their faces to raise money. You demanded that the policing be stopped. You demanded that police officers be defunded, but you've got a private security detail outside of $1 million homes. It just doesn't work this way, sweetheart. So the truth shall set you free, or Candace Owens shall set you free, girl, because I'm about to tell the truth. All right, we're still filming. Bye.
Alrighty, folks, You Made What is a Woman a Massive Success. We're talking about the top documentary in America. It is the most streamed.
Okay, Instagram, I wanted to do this video and to comment on this back forth exchange that's happening publicly between Kim and Kanye, not because I'm interested in celebrity feuds or divorces, but because I think this is actually a topic that's really important for all parents to be discussing as we kind of get into this new age of digital media and social media and children having access to things that we didn't have access to when we were kids. I'm 32 years old. We did not have access to TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and any other social media app when I was young. And this is a very important topic. So to give you guys a background, if you're not following it, Kanye has been very, very vocal for a long time, before the divorce, about wanting his kids to be kids when they grow up, meaning he was very against North, his daughter. She's 8 years old. And even in years prior, she was wearing makeup and wearing lipstick. And he was very against that. He's been vocal about the fact that he doesn't want his child on social media. So this is not a new thing that's happening because they're getting divorced. It's just coming to a head because they're getting divorced. And Kim obviously has a different perspective on it because she was okay with her wearing makeup and she's okay with her daughter having social media. Kim's daughter is North. We know of North and we know all of their kids because they have been on, reality TV their entire lives. And North is, for the record, 8 years old. So this is something that parents all around the world should be aware of. It is not an assumption. It is a reality. Brigham Young University actually did a study last year to show that children that are introduced to social media have a propensity, higher rates of suicide and a propensity toward suicide. Adults included. Obviously, we understand that social media has depressive effects, and it's basically allowing you a window to look into the lives of people and to have this perception that their life is better than yours. So it's basically you just stacking up and going, oh, I wish I had that life. Oh, I wish I had that life. I wish I had that husband, that body, that face. And it causes depression. And if you're an adult, you might be able to deal with that depression. But for young kids, it's a lot. I don't know why it took a study confirming it from Brigham University to confirm that social media is harmful for children, when really this is common sense. We're seeing things that we've never seen before. We're seeing people that are 12 and 13 wanting to get their lips injected, to want to get boobs, to want to get butt implants, to want to do all of these things extraordinarily, especially for children. And when I look at these people that are so young and they're getting these implants, I'm thinking to myself, when I was this age, I wasn't even thinking about how I looked. I mean, 8 years old before I even had braces. I mean, to put that into perspective, we're talking about third graders. Third graders. This is not, you're not even interested in guys. You really just want to color with your friends. I think I was in Spice World at that time, listening to Spice Girls, wanting to dance with friends and have sleepovers. So we're not talking about someone that's even on the brink of maturity. We're talking about an extremely young child who's extremely vulnerable, who should not have the access, who should not have access to the internet and have 5 million followers as she has, which is already to me something that is harmful. Why are there 5 million people in the world that want to follow the every action of my child? I choose not to put my kid on the internet at all, because I want my child to be able to have that choice. And I want my child to also be able to make that choice when their brain is developed.
Candace, I get what you're saying with that, but you got to realize who the parents are. And one thing, if that's how you make your money, if that's where your bread and butter is, that ad on social media, you're going to try and use your child as a tool too. A freak for attention has no moral compass. We must remember that. A freak for attention has no moral compass. They'll do whatever, they'll show whatever, they'll do, even if you guys didn't like when I used the term before of sacrificing your children. Even if it comes to sacrificing your children, you will do that just to get that attention, because that drug is sometimes more powerful than money. You know what I mean? Even though it does, in this case, it does equate to money. With 5 million followers for a child that's 8 years old, you're putting them on. They really don't understand the nature of this world and all these other things. And a father, really, like when I had Javon Clark on my show the other day, he was talking about he's got more rights. The majority of us who may not be with our children's mother anymore, or maybe divorced, we have more rights than Kanye, and Kanye is a billionaire. You feel me? And it's just crazy. It's like that. You know what I mean? So I definitely, 8-year-olds shouldn't be on there like that. I don't even think. I mean, I my daughter, if my daughter was a teenager, I think there's still creeps out there at the end of the day. But when you're a celebrity's daughter, you're gonna encounter all type of stuff, and you know what happens to a lot of these celebrities who get overwhelmed with attention and get clowned and teased and bullied and all these other things, and they can't take it because that is their life. This thing right here is their life. That's everything. So if this is telling you that you ain't shit, then you start to believe you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Just my thoughts, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Hit that like button, guys. Let's get back to it though.
Something that's extremely problematic here, and why I wanted to speak out, is because Kim's response to this, obviously Kanye posted this publicly, and he has made several pleas about just keeping his kids off social media. And I'm not claiming to know the ins and the outs of their relationship, but something that was extremely problematic is that Kim, in her response, writes that he's controlling. This is him being controlling and obsessive, and sort of all of these buzzwords that women use when they want to make themselves look like they're being victimized by a man. And she specifically says that, North needs this as a creative
Controlling.
that, the divorce has already been traumatic enough for them, and giving this child TikTok, somehow helps to alleviate some of the traumas that they may be experiencing. That is a completely unacceptable excuse. Your child does not need social media to deal with any traumas. You have a child that's stuck between two billionaires. Tons of people have gone through divorces, come from divorced families. I'm one of them. This is not something that is necessary to heal from a divorce.
We begin today with a rather shocking event that took place last night. So last night was the premiere of the much
whatsoever. In fact, I would almost argue the exact opposite.
Man, Ben is putting he's racking up on these ads. I'm not apologizing. I'm just letting you know it's Ben. So sorry. I'm just going straight off of YouTube. So let's stick it out. You feel me?
And it's super unfair because in this particular regard, actually, Kanye is doing the right thing. He's protecting his child from the public. I think part of this is that obviously Kim is Kim Kardashian. So she's lived her entire life publicly. She takes a stab at Kanye for talking about this publicly, when in reality, she has welcomed all of the world into every aspect of her lives for years. So this is just a victim claim, pretending that you care, that there's a public discussion about this when we've watched your family members pull their babies out of their vaginas on TV.
Facts.
Doesn't make sense. Pretending that you want to protect your children when they've been, you know, on a show, which sure you had editing control over, but you know, that doesn't really make sense to suddenly pretend that it's Kanye that's harming them by bringing this discussion to the forefront, especially because it's a very important discussion. We're talking about right now, there was a case, an 11-year-old girl, you can look it up. She killed herself. Her mother is now suing. The last name is Rodriguez. I can't think of her first name. Her mother is now suing Facebook and Snapchat, saying that they know how harmful that this, you know, that the effects of and the addiction that comes from their products is, and yet they allow children access to it. And so this mother is currently engaged in a lawsuit with both Snapchat and Facebook. My personal opinion, it's the mom's fault, you know, and you have decided to give your child this weapon. You know what this weapon is. You know, you're shocked when your kid becomes addicted to this and becomes obsessive. And unfortunately for a kid, they don't have yet within them, they don't possess the mechanism that it is to compartmentalize. So everything feels much larger when you're a kid, right? Think about your first breakup, whatever it was. I don't know how old you were when you had your first breakup, but I think I was 13. It was like one of those like fake relationships, but you know, you think it's the end of the world. Everything becomes a suicide thing. When, you know, you have a fallout with a friend, you think it's the end of the world. Kids feel in a way that is so much bigger and grander than adults do. And when you apply social media to that, you know, they're not able to deal with a hurtful comment. I know that Kim has suspended comments on this, but, you know, they're not able to deal with even a hurtful idea, thinking that this person is prettier than them or more mature than them, or wondering if guys like this better. They're not able to put that into the proper perspective because they have brains that are not developed. And Kanye, in this regard, and again, this isn't to say everything he's ever done has been amazing and everything Kim's done has been bad, but I think that Kim, you know, kind of represents someone that is very pro social media. It's how she made her, you know, how she made her brand, it's how she's made her living, by giving more and more and more and more of herself. And unfortunately, she's not able to see the harmful effects of that. She's not able to assess her own addiction and her own obsession with social media. I mean, to me, you're talking about two billionaires. You've got.
I mean, she can. It's like gambling. You know what I'm saying? When you get, or any addiction or vice, you know, when you're in it, you're like, well, shit, I'm getting it like this. I'm getting it. I'm winning. You know, I'm winning. So you can win too, and it's everything isn't for everybody at the end of the day. I'm winning. I've gotten it. I've become this billionaire or whatever Kim is at this point. Obviously, I've made it, so my daughter can make it. And you're the same thing when adults try to. I'm not saying she's making her give up her childhood, but it's kind of like she's thrusting her into a world where she may not necessarily be ready for. And some children, you have to give children just a chance to play instead of. Do you want your 8-year-old, which I guess a lot of us are, your 7 or 8-year-old constantly checking for likes, and that directly correlates with their self-esteem by constantly checking for likes on here and to see it, did they like it? You know, even though I guess on a lot of these children accounts, the comments are disabled, but likes, so on and so forth, they dislike it, or, you know, whoever, you know, it's going to get back to them because this is going to become a tool at the end of the day they're going to equate their value or who they are at the end of the day, which a lot of celebrities and things like that obviously can't hack it when it comes to these things. And you guys know what happens without me even saying it. But
If North needs a creative outlet from her divorce, Kim could go buy her a ranch in Wyoming, literally tomorrow, and say, here's a whole ranch. She could afford to bring Pablo Picasso back from the dead and say, here, paint with my daughter. I mean, she's got that much money. She could buy her whatever she wants as a creative outlet. She could buy her a plane and fly her to France. And, you know, have her dine amongst the stars. This is not an average family that has to deal with sadness or has to find a creative outlet in a tricky spot because they don't have resources. It is pointedly ridiculous to suggest that this is the only creative outlet that makes your child happy. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter if it makes your child happy. You are the adult for that reason. There's a lot of stupid things that kids want that they believe make themselves happy. we are arriving more and more in a society where people don't know what it means to be an adult.
It's different than the kind of acts of imagination that go with fiction, because history actually happened.
Right? They don't know. They're constantly caving to what their kids want. Well, this is what my kid wanted. My kid just wanted social media, so like I gave it them because they like it and it makes them happy. I don't care if it's giving them temporary happiness. If you know that in the long run, it's going to cause pain. It's going to cause addiction. So you have that addiction. You know how addicting social media is because you have that addiction. And so I just feel like Kanye deserves to be defended in this particular regard, because any man who understands even how they use social media, how men look at social media, the fact that there's 5 million strangers, how are you to know that amongst them are not pedophiles? There's been, pedophile networks that have been established on TikTok of people that are looking at kids. Why would you want your 8-year-old to be observed on an app, every second of their day? This is different from, moms that have social media and post their kids, once in a blue moon. When you are allowing your child to have social media, you have no idea, who is looking at your kid. And that is remarkably unfair to then castigate your significant other or former significant other and pretend that this is an obsession. It should be an obsession. Protecting your children and protecting our children should be an obsession. So if Kanye is obsessed with getting your daughter off social media, then may I suggest that you develop that obsession? Like, may I suggest that you develop wanting to protect your child from the world, wanting your kid to grow up, wanting your kid to be a normal third grader who wants to plan sleepovers with her girlfriends, who wants to, do an art project. I think for me, I was wanting to do gymnastics and jumping around. Like, there are other creative outlets. And if you are a parent and you really care about your child, no matter what your child is going through, you would want to protect them from the net. You would 100%. So we're speaking to a larger problem right now. And I think this is, like, as I said, like, I don't think the Kardashians are aware of their own addiction and obsession with social media. So they would not recognize those symptoms in someone else. They don't see any harm in it because they've made a living. And again, that's not to take a shot at Kim. I've met her. She's very kind and she's very nice. But
I look at it as, when you look at something, i.e., any celebrity or any person, whether, and I'm not going to get into whether it's a king or queen, but people who look at social media from a standpoint of, I'm at the top, you're at the bottom, they tend to be detached, just like a king and queen are. They're detached from the peasants and the normal people. You know what I mean? In my estimation. So they're gonna have a different viewpoint of, hey, I can throw up anything. I could throw up me cutting grass, or me wiping boogers out of my eyes in the morning, and these people are just going to tune in because I have that much influence and power to be able to do that. And you're not at that point, when you live based upon that, just attention, you wake up, and how could you ever be with somebody like that? Me personally, I see on social media, and a lot of you guys may be friends with people on social media, on Facebook primarily, where the girlfriend, and then they're not making any money, it's not their business or anything like that, but they're constantly taking photos, constantly taking selfies, constantly wanting you as the significant other, and it's mostly women, because if your man is doing this, he's, it's kind of suspect, and you're not making any money. But constantly posting photos of the family, I'd be like, yo, give it a rest. When are we going to enjoy life? And you're constantly checking your phone to see if everybody else, is liking the photo. I couldn't be with somebody like that. Celebrity or not, there's many celebrities who don't have any social media. And it's probably because of that, because of the mental sanity their mental health is good for the most part. That's one less thing they have to deal with in terms of that, is dealing with somebody, passing their judgment, because you're open to scrutiny once you're putting all that stuff up there. And your value, like I said, is based upon what somebody thinks of you or what they say. And people tend to take in the negativity more so than the positivity. They will single out somebody that says something negative, as opposed to thousands of, positive comments that people leave and things like that. But just my thoughts.
you know, social media is her life. That's the point. Like she's a nice person, but social media is her life, and she's not seeing clear on this. So just standing up for dads that kind of get caught. Like, I just don't like the idea of the victim mentality of a woman saying, oh, he's obsessed and he's controlling. And, you know, sure, he may be obsessive and controlling about different aspects, but on this particular one, Kanye West is 100% right and Kim is in the wrong. Get that child off social media. She's a child. She's 8 years old. You know that it leads to an increase in suicide rates amongst kids. These are devastating effects. There are multiple stories out there of parents saying shoulda, woulda, coulda. I wish I did not allow my 8-year-old to develop this addiction. You know, don't be that parent that finds out too late, because you don't know. Kim, there was no social media when you were a kid. You were allowed to be a kid. You were allowed to be grubby. You were allowed to have braces. You were allowed to look weird and not develop that sense of like being self-conscious about yourself, because you're suddenly able to see all of these other kids and see what they look like. You don't know that. So right now what you're doing is you're experimenting with North. You're experimenting with her. You're experimenting with her psychology. You're experimenting and assuming that it's going to be okay. I wouldn't let my child be the test dummy for social media in this age, and I don't think she should either. So just throwing a little support toward Kanye. Thanks, guys, for watching.
So there you have it. Like I said, I haven't watched this video. I definitely agree with Candace on what she said just now, and pretty much overall, this entire video is my first time watching it. I know it's not some of the more polarizing ones that I was expecting on this video. I was expecting her to be going in on, you know, like a lot of the videos many of you guys have seen in the past, or Candace is known for some of the more controversial things that she has been saying. You know, so that's what I was looking more into. So this is a first for me. You know, it is what it is. That was just my thoughts. Whether you agree with them or not, whether you agree with Candace or not, hey, we're all here. We all have opinions. You guys tuned in to watch. You guys may have tuned in to listen to my opinion. Those of you who this is your first time, you know, I hope you guys, you know, enjoyed it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. Also, before I get out of here, the call lines are open. It's the link in blue pinned in the chat. So feel free to click on that if you want to call in and, you know, give your thoughts on Candace or, you know, any of the topics that she discussed. It's welcomed here. So I'll leave that open here for a few minutes. Make sure you guys hit that like button. We should have at least 100 likes. I don't know where we're at with likes right now because I don't have it pulled up. You guys can comment how many likes we have, but hit that like button. We should have at least a minimum of 100 likes, man. It's easy, doesn't cost you a thing, man. All you gotta do is tap that. And if you guys like this, comment below. You know, I'll be doing more of these in the future. Hasn't really been in my forte in terms of the JR Wisdom channel. I used to cover stuff like this early on in the infancy of my channel. But if you guys want to see more commentary or political commentary, let me know below or shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. All my information is in the description as usual. So with that being said, man, without further ado, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks for rocking with me. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. If you haven't, I will follow you back. Purchase all of my books and merch. The links are pinned below. And with that being said, man, peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. You guys have a great weekend. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and leave you to your vices for the weekend. So, you know, with that being said, you guys enjoy. I'm out.